If you would have told my 17-year-old self, or even my 24-year-old self for that matter, that I would run a half marathon one day, they would have laughed in your face. In fact, I used to hate running. And yet here I am, 35-year-old man, 114 pounds lighter than my heaviest weight of 296 pounds, and I just finished my first half marathon after only 4 weeks of training for it. And I'll be honest, that surprised even myself. The secret sauce wasn't some crazy amazing training program that I had, although I did have a totally reasonable and satisfactory free program that I found online, and I'll put a link to it in the description below. The secret sauce was mindset. It's all here now. And the funny thing is I kind of happened upon this idea by accident. Here's the story of how it all started. I actually didn't jog at all until about 10 months ago, right in the middle of the corona pandemic, and I did it simply because all of the things that I actually like to do weren't available to me, and I didn't want to sit at my desk all day long stuck inside. So I got my old running shoes on, and I went for my first jog, and it was horrible. Over time, I ended up working my way up to about 5 kilometers, which at the time was amazing. I enjoyed being able to run 5 kilometers so much that in December of 2020, I actually ran 5 kilometers every single day for the entire month, which was wild, and I couldn't believe I had even done that. However, as of January 2021, the weather was way too cold, and in January, February, and March, I basically did no running whatsoever, just because the weather conditions were not optimal for it. Then April happened. April was a particularly rough month for me, so much so that I ended up putting back on all of the weight that I had lost over the course of January, February, March, and on top of that, I ended up relapsing on smoking cigarettes. How many health and fitness YouTubers are going to admit to that on YouTube, right? Well, the fact is, I'm human, stress happens, things happen, and I ended up having about a month and a half self-pity party, and my training was not optimal. As you can imagine, my mindset during this period was not in a good place for training, and of course, my training and my nutrition suffered as a result. If you value honesty, transparency, and enthusiasm in your YouTube videos, be sure to hit the like button. It really means a lot to me. On the 24th of June, however, I decided that it was time for a change, and I was looking for a goal, something big that I can kind of sink my teeth into and get excited about, and that goal became to get my 5K to a half marathon. And the first days of my training were actually pretty slow and steady. In fact, the very first day was a rest day, which I conveniently timed based on the training program that I downloaded. The second day, instead of actually jogging, I just went for a walk because I wasn't sure I could even jog at all. The next day was just a 3.2 kilometer jog, then a 4.8 kilometer jog. So all things I had done before and was familiar with. And eventually I worked my way up to 6.4 kilometers, a little bit of a stretch, but still certainly possible. The second week went just as planned. I followed the schedule exactly as it was supposed to be. Everything was going well. And then on the second day of the third week, something pretty cool happened. My girlfriend and I were going for a 5.9 kilometer jog. Nothing crazy. We were out in the woods, and long story short, we ended up getting lost. And in our lostness, we ended up running 15.28 kilometers. Keep in mind, neither one of us had ever run that far, ever. Yet we ended up putting ourselves in a position where we didn't want to do this run, we had to. We had to get back to our bicycle, get our water, and get home so that we could do everything we needed to do in the rest of the day. And the funny thing is when we were put in a position where we had to do something, we did it. And it actually wasn't nearly as bad as I think either one of us thought it was going to be. Now, armed with this accidental knowledge that I was capable of running 15.28 kilometers when push came to shove, it really changed my mindset and gave me a huge leap forward on my half marathon training. I figured that if I can do 15.28 kilometers when I need to do it, well, surely I could do it if I want to do it as well. And truth be told, I actually felt pretty good after that run, and I figured I could have easily gone a couple of kilometers more. So why not be able to do a half marathon? There's an interesting equation that says that the task at hand fills to meet the time that you give it, right? I had given myself 3 months to go from 5K to half marathon. And that's a totally reasonable approach. Absolutely could have done it in a very safe and healthy way, and I would have accomplished it in 3 months. Yet, I got kickstarted by this accidental mindset shift, and I figured, well, why not do it a little bit faster? And sure enough, 4 weeks after I started, I was able to finish my first half marathon. A couple funny things happened during the actual running of the marathon. The first 5 kilometers, totally fine, totally easy, known territory. First 10 kilometers, actually pretty easy as well, with one exception. I had to dodge some aggressive geese who were sitting in the middle of the road, wouldn't get out of the way, and were quacking at me the whole time. Even the first 15 kilometers were actually quite enjoyable and fun. 15.34. Just passed a personal best. Left knee hurts, right hip hurts, but my brain and mind are feeling good. We got this. However, once I got past my personal record and I started getting into 16, 17, 18 kilometers, my body started to hurt a little bit more.
About 2.5 kilometers to go. Things are starting to hurt a little bit more. Oh, so close. I can taste it.
My mind was telling me, oh no, I haven't done this. This is new. This is uncharted territory. This is uncomfortable. You need to stop. And at that point, the rest of the run was really a question of mind over matter. It was, can I push through the pain? Can I tell my brain that I can do it and get over the uncomfortableness? And the answer to that is that I believed that I could, so I did. You may have heard the quote that if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And in this particular case, I thought that I could, and I did. To make this whole experience even cooler is the fact that I didn't do this alone. The exact same experience happened to my girlfriend, who was running with me on the day that we got lost and also surprised herself in being able to do 15 kilometers, and who finished the half marathon with me as well. And I know for her, the last kilometer was brutal, but she was able to believe in herself, and in the end, her self-belief and her mind beat the uncomfortableness that she was experiencing, and she also finished a half marathon in 4 weeks of training. All this doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to have the same results. We may not have the same starting point, we may not have the same training history, we may not even have the same goals and desires of running a half marathon. Whether it's going from couch to 5K, 5K to 10K, or 10K to half marathon, or half marathon to marathon, or beyond, I bet you have another gear inside of you that'll allow you to push yourself even further than you thought possible. Once you start getting that mindset screwed on right, amazing things can happen. David Goggins, I love this guy, and if you don't know who he is, check him out right now. He has something called the 40% rule. And the idea is that most people give up on themselves when they're only 40% done what they're capable of doing. And I 100% believe that this is true because I did that myself in my own running training. I followed my schedule as it was written when I actually probably could have done a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more each time. Whoever you are, whatever you're working on in your health and fitness goals, just know that it all starts in believing. And for a guy who's very analytical and rational and who likes to take notes and track progress, this is like an amazing surprise to me. And like intellectually, I understood it, but this is possibly the first time that I've really experienced it where it has clicked in my brain and the results were staggering, like even surprising to myself. Good training, intense training, proper form, good nutrition, plenty of rest and good sleep, all exceedingly important. I don't want to take away from any of those things. I just want to add the importance of mindset and belief. I believe in you. Now I encourage you to believe in yourself and go out there and crush all of your health and fitness goals and really push yourself beyond what you even thought was possible.